Let's throw our hands in the air as we soar through the sky.
Yatta!
We'll catch the sun with your hand in mine, and if we work as a team, everything will be fine.
Yeah!
Oh, it's Cure of the What Now?
Let's henshin and start the show.
Hello, fellow castle infiltrators, and welcome to episode 45 of
Cure of the What Now?
the one show where we know if it wasn't the husband, it's always the butler. I'm your host, Kat, and I'm just a regular dude who thought they were on board with what my evil overlord was planning, but that's pretty bad. We're talking genocide here, boss. I don't know that I can be on board with that.
Excellent, excellent. Now, quick question before I introduce myself. What's a husband?
Nothing. What's a husband with you?
No, I meant in PreCure, they're all lesbians. They all only have wives. No, their parents are a husband and wife, so that makes sense.
Also, Love has a male love interest. So does Nagisa.
Did you say male has a male love interest?
I said Love has a male love interest.
Okay, absolutely.
Babe, I'm the sick one. I'm the one who's supposed to be weird. What are you?
I am your co-host, Joel. Longtime fan, but also newbie to PreCure. I don't know anymore. I've stopped using that part of the intro.
It's not King of the What Now, so we really don't need that part of the intro.
Absolutely. And I am on a boat in a fancy suit, and I sent a dress to a girl that I have no romantic interest in, but I told her to wear it. So...
Are you sure there's no romantic interest there?
We're gonna cut this. What do we do now?
I don't know. How do we segue from the part that you cut? Maybe you just do, this is getting cut, you do the waiting music, and then it just goes into this banter here.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We are definitely on top of things, considering the fact that we're recording this just a couple of hours before the new episode comes out, but we will be recording tomorrow, and I will make sure that the episode gets out at a regular time, episode 46.
Absolutely. Joel is amazing. It's all my fault this episode is late. I've been really sick, and I'm still sick, so if I just sort of start rambling, that's because I got sick brain, and I'm not apologizing for that. So before we get into our discussion question for this episode, do you have any news or announcements?
I do, in fact. So official information has been released about the next season of PreCure. I believe information up until this point had been leaks, and I hadn't realized that. But now that there's an official source of information, we want to discuss it because we're very excited for the next season, and we don't consider it spoilers because it's from the company itself. But if you want to go full media blackout and just know nothing about the next season of PreCure, timestamps are in the description, and we are going to save that for the end of the episode. So if you don't want to listen, you can skip it, and it won't hurt our feelings.
Absolutely. Oh, shoot. I had something I wanted to go into the news and announcements section. Joel, do some editing magic. We are now watching Star Twinkle PreCure in our Discord. We're streaming it every Friday. So if you haven't seen Star Twinkle, or if you have seen it and really love it, please come join us. It's a great time. So far, it's just us and that one welder guy. So I've only had Fua for 5 minutes, but if anything happens to her, I will kill everything in this world.
Absolutely.
Witch of Delays style, I will give Fua the immortality that comes from everyone else's life juice.
The exact details of each watch-along will change depending on week, depending on availability and that sort of thing. But yes, you watched the first 4 episodes last night, and then next week we're probably going to try to shoot for about 6, and we'll try to do that. We'll set aside about 2 hours of time to watch. I guess that's closer to 3 hours. And yeah, then you'll be caught up, and we'll have you and I will both have seen the same number of PreCure seasons.
Excellent, excellent. Now, as far as the discussion question goes, all I really have written down is tropical elements. I don't know if that's interesting, so we can discuss that, or if you can come up with one off the top of your cranium.
The one that I have, but I think we've already talked about it, but it's like what video game has been addicting each of the girls in the Tropical Club, but we've clearly already done that. So
what is each PreCure's signature recipe on the Tropical Club? Like, if they were tasked with cooking you a meal, what would they make for you?
Well, I think that Minori would make something not quite normal, not typical. I'm not saying she's abnormal. I'm just saying that she would make something that you wouldn't expect.
She's one of those health nuts that uses, like, kale and broccoli and everything she cooks. So maybe she made you like a vegetable loaf instead of meatloaf.
Okay, yeah. It's just a hollowed out pumpkin, and it's filled with like a soup and like some other strange things. And you're like, I don't know about this. It tastes pretty good.
Yeah, of course it is. She followed the recipe to the letter. You don't deviate from recipes when you're Minori Ichinose.
Oh my goodness. I think Sango would do excellent. Is it called plate dressing? Like, making the food look really good and that sort of thing. I think it would still taste pretty good, but she's the presentation master of the girls.
Absolutely. If they were on Chopped, her plates would be the prettiest.
Absolutely. So I'm thinking that she also would be the type to would make like a big hearty salad. I don't think she would do anything too heavy. She wouldn't do like, I don't know, a big plate of spaghetti or something like that.
Forget about that.
But yeah, she would make nice little well-proportioned
have you seen like the carrot and cucumber roses you get as a garnish at some
I think so.
Restaurants? She would make lots of things like that, I think.
Absolutely.
In terms of a signature dish, though, something that she could pretty up, maybe like a beef Wellington, because you can do like cute things with the pastry.
Okay, yeah, I really like that. Asuka is just a giant set of ribs. Okay. It's like the ribs that caused Fred Flintstone's car to fall over. That's what she's making.
I love that. Asuka definitely feels like a comfort food person to me. She's going to be your shepherd pie, your tater tot casserole, your mac and cheese girl. Like if you just want stuff that reminds you of your mom and being safe at home, Asuka's your girl.
For half a second, I couldn't tell if you meant the royal you or you were talking about like my mom specifically, and I was just like, where is she going with this? But yeah, I see what you're saying.
What's your comfort dish that your mom made when you were a kid?
I don't know. My memory is just awful. It's terrible. I think the one thing that comes to mind, even though I don't know if it's exactly comfort food, Dad didn't like, or no, Mom didn't like Hamburger Helper, so if she was ever away visiting family or something and we had to stay home, that's what we would eat while she was gone. Or did Dad not like Hamburger Helper? See, this is what I'm talking about. Who am I?
Who are you? Mine was mac and cheese. My mom has a homemade mac and cheese recipe that is absolutely out of this world incredible.
It's delicious.
And that was kind of our go-to like comfort meal. The other one was sausage pasta, which is Italian sausage and bow tie pasta and Alfredo sauce and peas if we're feeling especially healthy.
Nice.
But like that's what my dad or I would make when it was like a lazy, we just want something quick and warm for dinner.
Absolutely. So I think Manatsu, wow. My brain is, maybe I am sick. Maybe it's only affecting my brain parts and not my lungs or anything.
Manatsu would be a Hamburger Helper girl.
Well, Manatsu could be a Hamburger Helper girl. I was thinking she would do breakfast for dinner. Oh. And I was also thinking, okay, so Minori does a mishmash of things you wouldn't expect to go together, but it's actually really healthy, and it turns out okay. It might not be the most flavorful thing, but the health benefits outweigh that. What if Manatsu also made an amalgamation of just all sorts of stuff, and it wasn't healthy stuff? It was like whipped cream on the pancakes with fruit and syrup. Do
you remember in Elf when he's just dumping chocolate syrup on his spaghetti?
Yes.
That's Manatsu's signature dish. It's got marshmallows, it's got sprinkles, it's got peanut butter cups, it's got spaghetti.
Absolutely.
And would Laura be sashimi, maybe?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mermaids eat fish. We haven't really established that. I feel like we've seen her eat takoyaki.
I don't know. I know she doesn't have melon pan, and they don't have, like, breads down there. So she's not a pizza girl. She's not a carb girl. She's not... So, I imagine it's either gotta be, like, a kind of, like a vegetarian, just fruits and veggies, or it would be some kind of a fish plate. Alternatively, what if her signature dish is just different alcoholic drinks? She doesn't have any food, but she has, the champagne, she has mimosas, she has the wine, she has...
Okay, I like it. Her signature cocktail is called the Queen's Sparkle.
Oh my gosh.
And it's got, like... Have you seen that alcohol in the store that's, like, blue and shimmery?
Yeah.
It's got that in it.
Absolutely. I also think that if she serves dessert, it's a cake in the shape of her. It's just her like posing.
Face, it's got cranberry buttercream.
Laura, don't you think that looks like blood? Oh.
And of course, Karurin's signature dish is seashell cookies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Although Karurin doesn't have thumbs, so baking is challenging.
What Karurin can do is you can lay him or them on the edge of a tortilla, and they grab the tortilla and then they roll, so they wrap themselves in the tortilla. It's not they don't want to be eaten, but that's like the extent of their cooking prowess.
So cute. Oh my god. And with that, I think that's been our discussion question.
Boop 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 bump bump.
So the episode's over. I guess I can go back to bed.
No.
Then don't use the ending music. It triggers my brain. I have a Pavlovian response to the ending music. Joel, do you have a succinct summary of the latest Tropical Rouge episode for me?
Yes. So we just finished watching episode 43 of Tropical Rouge PreCure. Manatsu previously had been eaten by a whale, so in this episode, the girls decide to go and rescue her. Laura needs to get the aquapot fixed, so they kind of split into two teams. Laura goes back to the Grand Ocean, the other three go to the castle. They end up having to fight a yarane-da that Numeri creates. Manatsu escapes the whale's mouth herself. She gets half of a flashback from the legendary PreCure, whose name we don't know. I'm just going to call her Melody, and that's actually a really good name. That might be her real name other than her cure name. But anyways, Manatsu gets some of the information, but not all of the information, because the show is just trying to tease us. And the butler is up to no good. He's basically telling Chongi-re and Numeri and them, like, don't let the Witch of Delays see the PreCure, because that would be bad. But the girls end up defeating the yarane-da anyways, and they end up confronting the witch. And wouldn't you know it, the butler has been lying to us. Who could have guessed about his plan? He told everyone, or not everyone, he told the evil generals that when the fool's casket was full, they would all become immortal. But actually what it does is it drains the life force of everything else on Earth and only allows one person to become immortal. Chongi-re says, I didn't sign up for that. I would like one coup, please. And the butler uses his trap card, which transforms Chongi-re into a yarane-da, and that's where the episode ends.
Crab Dad!
Crab with abs just became crab with even more abs.
Crab with face on abs.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that was probably the creepiest part of Chongi-re yarane-da, was that he no longer had a face on his face.
Yeah, he has a face, but the eyes are like blank, and that it's a very creepy look. He's probably going to go in the thumbnail, but and that's been your succinct summary.
Do you like this episode?
Not as a standalone episode. I feel like this episode was all set up for the finale, like it is part of the final battle, and so we might get another episode or two. I think there's supposed to be 46 episodes, so I think we have 2 more that can be spent resolving this issue, and then I think there's going to be 1 more that is the denow or whatever it's called.
The denouement.
Yeah, that's after everything is settled. But we got a lot of interesting information in this episode, and I do like where it's heading. But it's entirely possible. Next episode, they'll reveal that the butler's evil plan is that he had an eviler brother who controlled it. Like, if it's something really dumb and convoluted, I will like this episode a little bit less in hindsight.
Absolutely. Really quick aside, here's something funny. I tried to look up Chongi-re yarane-da because I wanted to look at a picture of him. All of the results are our podcast.
What?
Yeah, all of them. They're all our podcast.
Wow, that's pretty cool. What about you? Did you like this episode?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. A lot of our preconceived ideas about how this was going to go were kind of verified. Like, Chongi-re did get yarane-da'd. The butler was evil. The queen maybe isn't exactly evil. There's something...
Or the witch, yeah.
That's what I meant, yeah.
It's so confusing because you have 2 characters who basically don't have names. Maybe one of them is like the shadow of the other or something like that. Maybe it's related.
Here's something that maybe should have gone in a different section, but I found out that the reason, according to the writers or the directors or something, the reason the queen and the witch are so big is because they've lived so long, so someday Laura will be PreCure Giant Lady. I really appreciate that Chongi-re and Dr. Numeri and Elde, they're not evil. right? Some generals are evil. The generals in Heal and Good, we could probably say were evil. They wanted to feed off other people to extend their lives. But these guys, they're just depressed. Like, they just don't have the energy to do anything.
Yeah.
And when they see actual evil, when they see somebody say, like, we're going to kill everyone and then everything will be delayed, they're like, no, don't do that. That's bad. And Elde and Numeri being generally upset and worried for Chongi-re when he gets yarane-da'd was really sweet. I really love their found family energy.
Absolutely. And I don't think that they said this explicitly, but it's my headcanon that the reason Chongi-re got upset that this device was going to kill all people, I choose to think that he was being the team's dad and being like, no. If you do that, you'll hurt Elde and Numeri, and I won't stand for that. So that's my headcanon, even if it wasn't explicit in the text.
Do you think that the three of them are going to be valuable allies to the PreCure in defeating the Butler and the Witch? Or do you think that the Butler will succeed and the world will be ended, but the PreCure will survive and they will reset the world a la Witchy or
PreCure All Mode, longest series title ever? Yes. I think that they will probably serve an ancillary role, a secondary role. There'll be like a moment where the witch or the butler hits them with like a super powerful punch and they'll get transformed back and they'll maybe be unconscious or something. And then the witch or the butler will be like, now I'm going to fire this cannon that will disintegrate them. And Numeri or Elde will like grab them and pull them out of the way or something, or wake them back up. So they'll help the PreCure stand back up on their feet, but they're not going to be the ones who defeat the big bad.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, we don't have a ton of time today. I have to go do some things shortly.
Some adult chores.
Yes. So I do want to really quickly focus on a couple of things. We found out that the mermaid in the forest who hid the motivation cup that gave Laura her bubble blast attack was
the queen.
The queen. She was not a PreCure. She wanted to become a PreCure, but it didn't work, but she saved the motivation cup anyways. And she was facing a creature that was not identified and did not look like the queen. It was kind of like this big black mass with dark red eyes. So is that the butler's true form? Because we've only really seen like 5 creatures that you would consider evil, and that giant mass thing wasn't a crab, it wasn't a shrimp, it wasn't a sea slug or sea cucumber, and it wasn't the Witch of Delays. So my guess is that the butler has a true form, and maybe he's still lying about the immortality. I don't know why he needs to lie about it at this point, but
I still think his true form is some sort of dragon. I believe that we called that mysterious mermaid in the forest being the queen.
Possibly.
I believe we were like, it's either the queen or it's Laura's mom, and I'm still not convinced that the queen isn't Laura's mom. One other quick note about this episode, the queen told Laura something about the witch's motivations, and Laura is going to use that to appeal to the queen. She's trying to get her to remember, why are you even doing this? And I suspect it's because if she remembers, she won't want to do it.
Yes, the butler said, like, keep the PreCure away from the witch, because, you know, that would be bad. And so with memory magic is what I'm going to call it happening, I think that there's a way to retrieve your lost memories, and I think maybe if the witch sees PreCure, it'll remind her of her time with the legendary PreCure. There's also a part where she's reaching towards the Fool's Casket, and I think it's Manatsu, but someone's like, why are you doing this? And she goes, this is the most important thing because, and then she trails off. So I don't know why the butler needs the Witch of Delays. I don't know why the butler can't just be a butler himself, or the evil mastermind himself, but it seems that he is trying to get the witch to do something kind of on his behalf so that he can take the power. So there might be something in the ritual where, like, the person who drinks from the Fool's Casket will explode or something, you know, or get turned into a baby for 1,000 years. And so maybe the butler is trying to get someone else to do it so then he can steal the power.
Or maybe when he said he was in love with the Witch of Destruction, he was sincere.
Maybe.
And he's hoping this will return her to that because he's got the feelings.
I guess. I feel like that would also mean that he dies. I mean, maybe that would be like the ultimate butler to do Danganronpa, you know? Ultimate butler, willing to sacrifice himself for their master, but...
Yeah, I guess we'll see. We watched 2 episodes of Futari Wa this week.
Yes, and I think that we're going to watch 2 more episodes of Futari next week because there's only 2 left. So normally when we discuss multiple episodes of a show, we talk about them one at a time because I don't want to forget to talk about one of the scenes in one episode if another one of the episodes was more exciting. However, I am comfortable grouping 46 and 47 into a single episode because, oh my god, between these two episodes, there's about half an episode of actual content. Poloon shows, or the evil generals show up and they're like, we're evil, evil.
We finally figured out that Poloon has the stuff.
Well, like, in this episode specifically, they don't say anything. They just appear behind Nagisa and Honoka, kind of like, just like powered, like just sitting there with like their arms crossed, and then the girls transform. And then they start fighting. And like, what was your plan? Was your plan just to hover behind them until they transformed? Evil generals, snickering evilly, PreCure transform, they try to fight, they're losing the battle, Poloon shows up and goes, accept the power of because the Belze snatches Poloon up as he's about to unleash the power of friendship. Wisdom is like, hey, you're not going to get the power of the stones to come back to me because I'm the only one who knows the ritual. And Belze goes, actually, I've been reading your mind this whole time. And Wisdom goes, what? And it turns out that Belze has been reading Wisdom's mind the entire time that Wisdom has been in the mansion, like just downloading the schematics. And he's figured out how to use his own version of the ritual to cause ultimate evil. And this causes the queen to get upset, the Queen of Light, who doesn't have a name. And this causes Jaku King to get upset because they're going to try to take the dark power for themselves. So he tries to destroy them, and that causes them to melt together into a single, I'm going to call it a goo monster. It has like, I can't tell if it's silver with black stripes or black with silver stripes, but it's kind of like shifting.
The black is rippling up its body.
Okay.
And so I think it's silver with this like shadow power pulsing through it.
Okay. And this creature is kind of featureless, more or less.
It looks a lot like Bottom Sama from the movie with the love girls.
It absolutely does.
The love girls, the fresh girls.
Absolutely. One other thing of note really quick is that as Nagisa and Honoka are trying to stop the evil generals from doing their evil ritual, eventually Nagisa gives this spiel about, like, we just want to be normal. Why can't you let us live our lives? And Belze goes, we can't live our lives because we're subservient to Jaku King. So, you know, we also, like you, we want freedom. So I'm guessing that maybe these three will have a reincarnated sort of thing. I mean, they already have human forms.
They want freedom, but they want freedom by killing everyone else that exists.
That is true. Well, I don't know.
You know something shocking that happened at the end of this episode?
Oh, right. There was a big explosion and Honoka and Nagisa almost died.
Yeah, we thought they were going to die, but then they were caught. By Kyria.
He's back.
He's back. He's not really dead.
Yeah.
Were you surprised?
No, because they foreshadowed him in the Christmas episode, and also they gave him an arc that really felt like, you know, I'm going to be killed off screen, and also I have an emotional attachment to Honoka.
I want to know why he didn't get schlorped into the darkness, and if that means the other ones can come back, or if it was specifically like his emotions for Honoka that allowed him to remain. Like the power of love is greater than the power of destruction.
Yeah, I think it's something like that. I think when we had the first person defeated, Pessard, I believe that they said that they were just like, quote, returning to the darkness. So my guess is that there's this giant black void, and when you come out of the black void and take physical form, you get a personality. But when you go back in, black void, you kind of get erased or whatever, and maybe you can come back if those molecules happen to rearrange themselves back into the same form as before. But what happened when Kiryu went inside the black void is that there was like a little sparkling light in his heart that was his connection to Honoka, so he didn't lose his shape, and then when he came back out, he was still himself.
Okay. Got it.
But we didn't get any explanation from him. This was literally at the very end of episode 47, so he's probably going to give them a pep talk, give Honoka a little kiss, and then they're going to go and fight either Jaku King alongside this weird formless creature that doesn't appear to have a name, or they'll fight this formless creature and Jaku King might begrudgingly deliver a punch in the back of his head in order to like weaken him or whatever. And I'm going to use him pronouns because I think he's 2/3 male and 1/3 female, and I think that rounds up, just mathematically speaking.
We'll say that. Are you looking forward to finishing this series? Do you think that the ending will be compelling?
I think the action's probably going to be pretty good. I think that there is some... how do I say this without sounding like a jerk? Sometimes old things are let down by like their special effects or the animation not being quite up to par to like today's standards, and them not having enough technology or whatever, or the funding. So I think that there's certain parts where Futari Wa definitely feels like an old anime and not in a good way. But I think that the finale will be pretty good and will help elevate it from the humdrum of a lot of the other episodes that have been grating on me. However, as we alluded to in a previous episode, members of the PreCord server warned me that double dosing on Futari Wa and then Max Heart, if you don't like Futari Wa, is a great way to cause your brain to break and shatter into 13 pieces. So we're probably going to hold off before we start that season.
You about ready to move on to Fresh?
Yes, okay. I think so.
Let's do it.
All right, so these ones we are going to split into 2 episodes because these episodes are wildly different from each other. We watched episodes 40 and 41 of Fresh, and episode 40, Setsuna is Love's mom's precious daughter, is what I wrote down. And I did that to intentionally be confusing. So Love's mom is named Ayumi, which is not information that was relevant until now, but from now on I'll be referring to her as such. And this episode is about Setsuna's relationship with both Love and Ayumi because they basically adopted her, and she basically didn't have a family when she came from Infinity or whatever, or Labyrinth, I think is the actual name of the world. So this episode is about how Love's mom, or Ayumi, is like, yeah, Setsuna is great. Setsuna's like, oh man, she's great. But then the mom gets absorbed into a mirror and replaced with a doppelganger, a Sora Watase that looks just like her, but gets occasional details wrong, such as constantly asking where Chiffon is, like some kind of crazy stalker lady.
This episode did a really good job of actually being scary. Like, if I were the target age demographic, it might have been too scary for me.
It was creepy as heck. Yeah, absolutely. So Setsuna eventually is like, this is a doppelganger, and instead of telling people or showing them the mark on the back of her neck that would expose the secret, she decides to confront Ayumi's doppelganger in such a way that when Love shows up, it looks like Setsuna saying, "You'll never be my real mom, I hate you!" And Love's like, Setsuna, why would you be so mean?
It also looks like she's knocked Love's mom to the ground.
Yeah, like she decked her or something, absolutely, or shoved her at least. So Love and Setsuna kind of get a little upset at each other, but eventually Love realizes these little things that her mom is doing that are different or wrong. For example, she calls Setsuna Setsuna, even though Ayumi always calls her a Setsi. She doesn't seem to remember, the bracelet that she made for Setsuna. She thinks that Love's like, oh, look at this bracelet. Thanks for making it for me, Mom. And the mom goes, yes, because I love you. Where is Infinity? And then they fight the evil doppelganger, and they win. They save the day.
Yeah, Setsuna finds Love's mom.
Yes, using by backtracking the day before when they were spending the day with Ayumi, she figures out that Ayumi is inside of a mirror, and she can just go inside the mirror with her red key, which is so cool. I love mirror magic, even if they don't really do anything with it in this episode. And then the Sora Watase has an interesting ability in this episode. It's able to absorb trees around town and become bigger. It becomes like this purple broccoli monster at one point that shoots like little pins at them. And then we get the most powerful attack in all of PreCure, the PreCure quadruple punch. And if it was possible to put a GIF in a thumbnail, I would find a way to capture that scene and put it in the corner because it's so good. This monster jumps in the air and it does the Sonic Ball thing and it's charging towards them, and it shows Love slowly her foot slides back and she gets ready to do a punch. And I thought it was just going to be a super powerful Momozona Love punch, but it was all 4 of them and they deck in and goes flying. It was so cool.
This season really does have a lot of that visceral girls like to hit stuff energy.
Yes.
That I think was a strength of this series prior to Kira Kira. And I don't think the next season coming out really lends itself to the punching and kicking theme-wise.
I mean, who knows?
But I wish they would bring it back, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Take this, my spaghetti roundhouse!
Absolutely.
Fillet your ass!
Did you like this episode?
Yes, I did.
Excellent, excellent. I really do like it. I saw the PreCord server was talking about, because a lot of people ship Setsuna and Love, and I did too when Setsuna was still the evil agent pretending to be Love's friend. I was like, yeah, loves love will save the day, and maybe they'll give each other a little kiss. But some people in the pre-record server are saying they don't ship them because Setsuna refers to Ayumi as her mom. And I went, that's an interesting take. I haven't seen her do that. But of course, these are people who have finished the season, and they're referring to this episode specifically in which Setsuna opens up, thanks Ayumi, calls her mom, and the episode ends with a nice three-way hug where Ayumi is like, these are both my daughters. And how cool is that?
It's super precious. I love that Setsuna is a person who has never really experienced good things, happiness, love, friendship. And the first person to tell her, you deserve to be happy too, is the person who adopts her and shows her, like, you can be part of a family.
Yeah, well, in a lot of episodes, I think, when the bad guys show up and they threaten another character, it is almost always another cure or another girl their age, that sort of thing, maybe a younger sibling. But in this episode, you get a flashback to all of the times that Ayumi was super cool and stuff. And so, yeah, I really liked that a lot. Are we ready to move on to episode 41?
Let's do it.
Episode 41, I'm also going to be flipping with the succinct summary. Buki is on a boat! So, this episode actually taught me the name of one of Daisuke's two friends. Because as we've established, Daisuke has two friends that pair up exactly perfectly with Love and her two girl friends. And this one's name is Kento. And this episode's about him. That's why I now know his name. Good job, Kento.
Absolutely. And I just want to let the main episode discussion take a back seat for a second. I love the way that PreCure is portraying this male friendship. Right? These boys are encouraging of one another. They talk openly about their feelings, which not all boys do with each other, as far as I understand. But they're also real stupid. There's a scene of Daisuke and the other one pushing Kento out to talk to Buki, and they're hiding in the bushes, and they give him like a thumbs up, and that's great. That's the kind of support we should all be giving our friends.
Kento gives her the envelope, which you assume is a love letter because you've seen that trope in all sorts of anime and such. And then as soon as he's delivered it, they just book it. They run as fast as they can away from that because girls are icky. But also, I want to give him a little smooch. So it turns out we already knew Kento was a part of this big, super rich family from the training facility episode that aped X-Men. But in this episode, we find out that Kento is on a ship to meet a bunch of like rich donors, basically, or like other business people that he's going to work with in the future. And he invited Buki because he thought that she could help give him courage. When she's around, he feels more confident. And her conflict is that she feels a little overwhelmed by all of this. And honestly, I don't think she necessarily overcomes that in this episode, but she and Kento have a one-on-one, and she kind of realizes more about like why she's here, and she feels more willing to support him because now she understands that he didn't invite her to show off. He invited her because he was also a little nervous boy, and maybe they can be nervous boy and girl together. When Westar shows up, looking excellent in a suit, by the way.
Where did he get that from? Does he just have a closet full of clothes, or can he magic himself into any outfit?
Maybe he can Sora Watase a tailor in order to make them, but he takes over the ship itself, which places the inhabitants on the ship in danger. It means Buki can't transform because Kento is like 5 feet from her and doesn't want to abandon her because, why would you in that situation? And the girls on the dock can't fight the boat, really, because it's a giant boat, except they end up being strong enough to stop the boat in its tracks. And I kind of thought that the point of taking over the giant boat was that it was too big.
They couldn't stop it. They could just nudge it off course slightly.
It seemed like the velocity, you know what I'm saying? This is one of those times where you have to suspend your disbelief, but my bridge is shaky. Like one of the panels has been kicked out from underneath me. It's an old rickety suspension of disbelief bridge. But Setsuna is able to teleport onto the ship with her red key, get everyone off. Buki, earlier in the episode, had met a guy who does animal performances and got hit on by a white tiger. And so she decides that she needs to save these animals. And the animals and Kento team up with her after she's transformed in order to defeat the Sora Watase at the heart of the ship. And it was a cute episode. I just gotta say, I would have preferred that Kento not get knocked out by the plant monster and Buki had to save the day without transforming. That would have been really interesting, but it's PreCure, so, coincidences abound, and the only person who gets knocked out by the tentacles is Kento, giving Buki enough time to transform and save the day.
What did you think of this episode?
I really liked it. I kind of wish they had gone a little bit harder on the romance kind of subplot, like maybe if Kento blushed a little bit more around Buki or that sort of thing. The episode does end with him being like, man, I'm full of confidence. I'm going to invite Buki and Kier Pine onto the ship. And the girls are like, that might be hard. And he goes, don't tell me no. Anything is possible. And they're like, no, it's really not possible, dude. Just trust us on this one.
Oh, but at least he tried. You know?
And also it's kind of cute. I could see the argument being that it's a little creepier, maybe a little too forward, but Kento does send Buki a dress that is appropriate for the formal attire of the ship. I don't know if Buki's family is well off or whatnot, but we haven't really seen her dress up. And so I thought that was cute, even if in a slightly different situation it could be creepy, but I think it worked well.
I thought it was cute too. It's one of those gifts that if you received it in real life, your grateful to creeped out bar would depend on, other context. But like, if someone invited me to a really fancy event and I wasn't sure I was fancy enough to go, and they were like, here's a dress that's appropriate for the event, I'd be really grateful.
Absolutely. It also, I know they have a lot to jam into these episodes, but it also would have helped if maybe Buki had said something like, oh, did one of your servants pick this out? Like, if you saw Kento with a team of 5 butlers that assist him in everything that he does, and Kento being like, actually, they wanted to pick out this dress, but I didn't think it suited you very well. It was too immodest, or it was the wrong color. I know how much you like yellow, or I put the clover patch on it. I think that would have made it especially extra, he's personally trying to help her rather than just being told by his, business partners that that's what he should do.
Absolutely.
Let's move on to Tweets in the Bottle. No points for guessing who sent in their thoughts this week, but with the butler pulling the strings and the Witch of Delays not remembering why she even wants to do this, it's a really good episode, and we did totally call Chongi-re, yarane-da, although I really thought we were going to get them one at a time, and I thought they were going to do it to themselves, I think was my original guess. But
I thought they were going to do it to themselves too, and I wonder if maybe Numeri and Elde will be so worried about the PreCure hurting Chongi-re that they will do it to themselves so they can fight with him.
Interesting. I imagine that they're going to do the real you is inside you all along type thing. The PreCure won't be able to defeat Chongi-re, yarane-da, especially if the butler's there being the man in the corner interfering. But maybe if Numeri and Elde in a dramatic moment jump up and stop Chongi-re from smashing them with his crab claw, then they'll be able to get the final hit in or something.
Oh my gosh, Chongi-re can use Crab Hammer. That's one of the most powerful attacks that crab-type Pokemon can learn.
Crab-type Pokemon. I love that. You can choose from your starter, the Fire-type Charmander, the Grass-type Bulbasaur, or the Crab-type Squirtle. It's just, or no, not Squirtle, Scrabble. It's a squirrel with crab claws.
That's actually a pretty cool Pokemon idea. I'm just going to write that down.
Send it to the
Mr. Nintendo.
Mr. Nintendo, absolutely.
Thank you, James. Joel did say no points for guessing, but it was that one welder guy. James, we appreciate your thoughts as always.
One thing I do find interesting, I'm sorry, I know I said that we wanted to try to make this a shorter episode, but the queen, or not the, gosh, now I'm doing it. The witch doesn't remember why she wants to do what she wants to do, which both implies memory wiping and, again, strings being pulled by Butler, because at this point it's too late for them to introduce another big bat. It seems like people that aren't well, is she a mermaid?
I think so.
Okay, she is. Okay,
She's
never
just
mind.
Evil, so she gets the title of witch.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. I was going to say, I think in an earlier episode, someone asked if humans get their memories wiped as well. And it would make sense because if you have humans who are like, yep, I made friends with this mermaid and she told me she lived in this place called Grand Ocean, they might try to go out and find this magical place or might try to reunite with their friends. But at the same time, the old woman from the episode where they got the perfume or whatever remembered seeing the mermaid when she was younger.
The queen explicitly said, I didn't get my memory wiped because nobody saw me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So she didn't know the old woman saw her.
Okay. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
But we have explicitly seen a scene of a human, who we're pretty sure was the legendary PreCure, finding the Witch of Destruction in a cave. That was one of the few flashbacks we got. So I think she was mermaid, the PreCure was human, and something happened to separate them after they'd formed a friendship.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you have the whole why would you want to delay? Why don't you do what's most important? But if it's something like they have to go back to their hometown, you want to delay that goodbye. Maybe one of them was dying and they wanted to delay dying so they had more time on this earth to spend time with people. Because when it comes to like delaying your homework or delaying running a 5-mile run or something, like you want to do those things kind of as soon as possible. It's better for your mental health. But there's some things where it's like, you really don't want to do it, and it's, So I think they're going to have a tragic backstory, and that ties into the next episode title. Episode 44 is going to be called What's Most Important to the Witch. What percentage of this episode do you think is going to be flashbacks? Do you think it's 90% flashbacks?
Nah, I think it's going to be like 60.
Okay.
It'll be 60% flashbacks, and I think it will be... We'll either get it all in one chunk, or it will be interspersed between shots of the PreCure fighting Chongi-re.
I was wondering if the episode was going to start with them being like, oh, Chongi-re's going to crush us. And like, he has his pincer and they're like holding it off and Songo has the X or whatever. And then they're going to be like, wait, Witch, what's most important to you? And then it is a flashback. And at the end of the episode, it comes back and they're still trapped underneath Chongi-re. Thanks for that vital information. It might be important in defeating the vital piece of backstory information.
Man, I love that. That would be such a good final thought if we didn't have some official news of our next season of PreCure.
Absolutely. If you want to be completely unspoiled about the next season of PreCure, turn off your TVs now. Please join us for next episode. We have the names of the cures, the names of their fairies, the name of the season, which we've already talked about previously, and also the design of the one of the bad guys.
And the name of the bad guy group.
That's right. I forgot about that. I thought we only had the individual name. So where would you like to start?
Why don't we start with the names of the cures? And I want to give just the cure names. I don't want to give their individual names, because it's kind of fun to, like, who could be the PreCure? Well...
They're going to be in the opening and stuff.
Okay,
absolutely.
fine.
So we have 3 girls that are each from... Oh, by the way, this season's called Delicious Party PreCure, and it is going to be centered around food. And I think hospitality as well, or like hosting parties, but I can't remember where I read that, so that might just be something I made up or fan speculation. But the main girl is Yui Nagomi, and she is Cure Precious, which is a great name for a cure, and her family owns a diner, which I always associate with breakfast food, but I think it's going to be something else in the context of Japanese culture. Cure Spicy, whose civilian name is Kokone Fuwa.
Fuwa, you say?
Fuwa. Her family owns a fine restaurant. And then Cure Yum Yum. Yum Yum. Ran Hanamichi, and her family owns a ramen shop. Also, fun little fact, she's the only one of the 3 that has siblings. She has a younger sister and a younger brother.
Excellent. So... we don't also have the fairy names, and I'm curious if they're going to spell these slightly differently than we have in our fan-translated version. Just because, like I said earlier in the episode, the names are almost exactly what they are. So, for example, Cure Precious has the energy fairy of Rice, who we have translated as Kome Kome. That could be Gome Gome, as in Gomen, which is rice.
Oh, maybe.
Cure Spicy has Pam Pam, the energy fairy of bread, could be Pan.
Okay.
And we have Cure Yum Yum's energy fairy, Mem Mem, which is the energy fairy of noodles, and that could easily be Men Men. She owns a ramen shop. You've got So Men.
Okay.
Noodles.
Yeah.
So these things are so cute.
Yes.
I would die for these fairies, and I love that we're doing another season where each girl gets an individual fairy. The fairy of rice is a little fox, the fairy of bread is a little dog, and the fairy of noodles is a dragon?
A little dragon, yeah.
It's a gosh dang dragon?
I think the yellow... Well, okay, I was about to say, because Heartcatch, they also have individual fairies. Although I didn't really like any of the fairies from Heartcatch other than, what's his name, Coop-sama.
Are you telling me that them pooping into the screen didn't endear them to you?
My point is that in both Heal and Good and Delicious Party, I think I like the design of the yellow ones the best. But of course, part of Neotorin's charm for me was their personality, and I haven't read exactly what they're like. And even if you read a one-sentence description, that might not reflect how they are voice acted or animated and that sort of thing. But gosh, these are all adorable creatures. They're all great PreCure. If you had to pick just one energy fairy to have as a plushie, which would you pick?
Easily Kome.
Okay.
She's the little fox.
The fox girl. The fox girl is adorable, and she eats the onigiri in that the little trailer that's been released.
I assume you would pick the dragon.
I might actually pick Pam Pam the dog.
Really?
Yeah.
I like that Pam Pam looks disgusted by you. in her or his official photos, because Cure Spicy is tsundere, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've seen a tsundere PreCure so far. Not really.
Star Twinkle gets there a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. But Cure Spicy, I saw her in the preview and I saw her on the website and I went, wow, she looks like a total B word. I love her. She's my favorite. And I like that her fairy has that same sort of energy. So I hope that they're kind of tsundere to each other at first. And then they decide, like, we'll team up just this once.
Now, we don't mind spoilers, right? We are full on spoiler territory. I believe that I read that Spicy is a little bit like prefers not to talk to people, prefers to be alone. But Pam Pam, I believe, is more outgoing. So I think that they're opposites, and Pam Pam's going to help get her out of her shell. Is the idea.
That's cute too. I love that. Another interesting element to this series that we kind of got a little bit from the trailer is we saw several of the allies. So there's one guy who is just so fancy and he's got earrings and stuff. And we see him standing in front of Yui as the first bad guys attacking. And so I assume he's kind of like the queen of this series. That sounds odd. Like the Mermaid Queen.
Okay.
Like he's that. He'll be the one sending the fairies out or whatever. But then we also see kind of a tuxedo mask looking person looming over everything. And I saw a lot of people theorizing, are we going to have a male ally in this season? Yui has a friend who we see in that first shot of her in her family diner who is described as like kind of reserved but cares about Yui. So I think he's going to have kind of a Daisuke-esque personality, and I think it would be really cool if he does pull some sort of tuxedo mask ally to the PreCure business.
God, I would love a direct tuxedo mask kind of inspired character. We had Prince Kanata, who was an ally in a lot of the fights he was able to show up to, but I'd prefer someone who shows up more regularly than that and maybe who has their own transformation sequence.
My job here is done, but you didn't do anything. I ate some noodles. Thank you.
Now, which of the three girls did you prefer in their civilian outfits?
Oh man, that's really hard to say. I would probably have to look again, but just on my recollection, I really like Yui.
Yeah, absolutely. Yui is adorable. She really reminds me of Kanade, I think her name is, from Sweet Pretty Cure. I think civilian outfit, Fuwa takes the cake for me. I instantly told myself, I'm going to draw her, and then I haven't gotten around to that. But, you know, someday if I find the energy, that's going to be one of the first things I draw from the season, I think, is her civilian clothes. But transformed, I really like Cure Yum Yum. I really like the kind of the outfit that I associate with like Chinese diners type of a thing.
Absolutely. I love that they went with more colors for these girls. They're not your your standard typical. They're not your typical pink, blue, orange, or yellow. Our yellow Cure has a lot of red and green in her outfit. The pink, I think, has some purple, and the blue has a lot of colors. So I like that they're trying something new.
Yes.
I feel like that kind of started in Tropical Rouge, but they've exaggerated it even more.
And you were saying that the designer is new to designing PreCure character design, so there's things that break the mold, quote unquote, from previous seasons.
Absolutely, yeah. I guess their eyes are paler than is normal, and people were like, what's going on with that?
Those are the kind of details I don't notice, but if someone showed me a before and after, like, here's what all of the other PreCure before looked like, and here's this one, and here's the details circled in red outline, I might be able to notice.
You know what I kind of think Futari Wa got right.
What's that?
I appreciate that from Futari Wa through Fresh, the girls all have like normal hair colors in their civilian form.
Okay. Yeah.
And then you get to Heartcatch, and it's like, we're going pink and blue, and they just haven't looked back since then. I would appreciate a little bit more, like, these are normal girls, and then they transform, and they're magic. Their hair changes color. I also understand why it's become kind of a staple of the series, so I'm not expecting them to change it, but it just, we're watching Star Twinkle, right? And I see this crowd watching Elena, and in the crowd there's a single person with purple hair, and I go, well, I wonder if she's gonna be important, you know?
I absolutely do get that. Well, and also, if you think about the last 3 seasons, Nodoka, and then Manatsu, and now Yui, they all have normal hair.
Nodoka and Yui have pink hair in their civilian clothes, don't they?
They're both brown hair.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like, I think you're right that a lot of them do have pink hair, but it seems like maybe the trend nowadays is that they're going to have more normal hair, more average hair from our world before pre-transformation.
Oh, and Sango does have just regular black hair. Okay, I guess I'm talking out my butt.
No, Sango has purple hair.
Not in her civilian form.
Okay.
Hold on.
I've drawn her. I know what color her hair is. It's purple.
I know what color her hair is. It's not actually purple, though. It's not purple the girl in Star Twinkle.
It's not Madoka purple.
It's
You're
kind
right.
of like how I thought that Izuku's hair was black and the green was just to show like the light hitting it. That's how I feel about her hair. I feel like it's black, quote unquote, but it's just drawn purple so that the palette matches.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
But I will admit I was wrong. Her hair isn't exactly black.
Well, I was thinking like midnight black. Also, we have one more character to discuss, and that is Gentle, who appears to... I can't tell. It seems like she's potentially a bad guy, like one of the generals. But also, we've seen this before. A thief character who doesn't quite fit in with all of the other evil baddies, who maybe is an antagonist of the heroic force.
So you kind of stole my thunder here.
Oops.
I'm a little mad, but listen to me. Thieves are exactly my shit. It is my favorite character archetype. It's why I'm so attached to Uni and Star Twinkle, despite not really seeing that season. So, Gentle, she's got a little mask. She looks kind of grumpy. She's got silver hair, and we all know what silver hair in a PreCure series means.
She has a top hat.
But she's a member of a group called the Phantom Thieves.
Absolutely.
That is so sick. I don't understand what that has to do with food, but I'm looking forward to finding out.
So... do we know what have you read what the bad guys are actually after? Like, why they... okay. So, I would assume that there's, like, a magical chef land where they make all of the delicious food and they have the 12 secret ingredients, and when the bad guys attack, the 12 secret ingredients get scattered around. But what if the Phantom Thieves want to steal those ingredients just for the sake of the prestige? Like, there's this super fancy 18-star restaurant, and no one can compete with them because no one has any of the 12 sparkly gold-colored ingredients. But if they can get their hands on that one golden pick carrots, they can rule the universe. Maybe that's what they're after.
Okay, I like that. Alternatively, they want all the tasty things for themselves, and the girls are going to be about sharing the delights of good food.
Absolutely. It would appear from the brief paragraph on the fandom wiki for Delicious Party that Yui specifically is all about the smiles. Her grandmother taught her that food brings the smile. So I really do appreciate, like, sharing your food. And that's, like, such an obvious theme in a food-related thing. But this is going to be a really good season.
Absolutely. And that has been your final thought.
Outro goes here.
Thanks for listening, everyone. And don't forget to live deliciously.
Eat moss.
Live moss. No, Taco Bell, don't sue us. What a shining episode of Cure of the What Now. Thanks for being our Nakama.
Thank you as always for your support. If you could, very kindly, be sure to like or share this with any of your friends. Let them know that we're always open to suggestions or thoughts about any particular episode.
And please take a moment to rate and review us on wherever you get our podcast from. Except for YouTube. You can't rate and review us on YouTube, but you can like and subscribe.
Absolutely. If you like what we're doing, even just a comment that says keep up the great work is always helpful for brightening our day.
Absolutely. Joel, where can our fine listeners find you if they want more of you?
Absolutely. The best way to get in touch with us is to go onto Twitter and find us at KOTWN_pod. That's where we're most active. But of course, we also have a Gmail. That's kingofthewhatpod@gmail.com.
You can also find me at Pirate Ghost Host.
She is much more prolific than I am, but not all of her content is necessarily about the podcast, whereas the other one tries to focus more on the show.
You like our sticker sheets? Joel's got sticker sheets for you. And that has been your Tropica outro.
Do-do-do-do. You'll be dancing with me today.